And also, in terms of the relationship between Malala and her father, is that, from your understanding, unusual in terms of the Pakistani culture? I mean, obviously, it's unusual in terms of having a woman who is being celebrated for wanting education, but it's such a wonderfully close relationship, and he's so much her champion.
We were in Telluride together, and Zia was saying, and I'd never heard this. I mean, Zia's a very atypical, amazing guy. He, for a moment in his life, he was inspired by the idea of jihad. He used to pray that God would give him a noble death. And then he had a few more teachers, and he had a teacher that taught him about Martin Luther King. And you hear him say it in the movie. We used to talk about the basic human rights. I think he was enraptured by some of the principles that we have, but perhaps forget a little bit. The idea that women are equal, and he told me the story in Telluride that if you take your daughter or your wife or your mother to a doctor's office, typically she doesn't have a name. You're the daughter of Ziauddin, you're the mother of Ziauddin. And so this idea in the story where he takes the family tree, which goes back 300 years with only men, as you saw, it was a radical act to take a pen to this. I'm sure there are relatives that thought he was desecrating the family tree. That's my opinion. But he said, I'm going to put her name, and she has a name. And so to me, that was an interesting thing to explore, this idea of destiny, this idea of where did this remarkable girl come from? Was it his making or something else?
How much time was the production? How much?
We started about 2 years ago. It was several weeks before her UN speech. She was still recovering. She had her UN speech printed on her desktop printer, and Zia was very happy because he was nagging her to write it. And finally she came downstairs and said, I've written it. And he read it to her, and she read it to me as well later. And it was a moment when he realized that she was, that her spirit was still alive. Because she wrote those words. So.
That's great. It's like a dad nagging you about your homework. Write your UN speech.